Approximately 66 million years ago, Asia looked more like the set of a monster movie than a nature documentary. Landscapes filled with dense jungles where creatures the size of buses lurked in the shadows, vast deserts hiding enormous reptiles, and volcanic plains that would make a survival expert break a sweat. Back then, Asia was a wild, unpredictable place. The continent's massive size and intense variety of climates meant that it became a sort of prehistoric melting pot, hosting some of the most bizarre and terrifying creatures evolution could come up with. With constant floods, erupting volcanoes, and freezing winters, life here was a never-ending survival game where only the most adaptable creatures stood a chance. For millions of years, Asia's landscapes changed at an incredible pace, pushing species to their limits. What you'd encounter here wasn't just big or wild, it was nightmare fuel on another level. This was a land built for the brave, or the creatures that didn't have a choice. Meet Therizinosaurus, one of Asia's most bizarre dinosaurs, and proof that you can't judge a book by its cover. Picture this: a plant eater the size of a bus, lumbering through prehistoric forests, but with claws that would make Wolverine jealous. Giant, scythe-like claws over 3 feet long. Even though it probably spent its days munching on leaves, its claws looked more suited for starting a chainsaw horror movie. This creature was more nightmare with knife hands than gentle leaf eater. If a herd of them strolled by, you'd be diving for cover, no doubt about it. Imagine a towering feathered creature that wouldn't look out of place in a dinosaur-haunted house. Therizinosaurus wasn't Asia's only intimidating predator. Enter Tarbosaurus, a fierce carnivore with a bite force nearly matching the iconic T-Rex. This 30-foot giant wasn't just visually imposing, it was equipped with massive jaws and bone-crushing teeth, securing its place as one of the most powerful hunters on the plains. If there had been a social hierarchy among dinosaurs, Tarbosaurus would certainly have reigned near the top. And then there was Alioramus, Tarbosaurus's scrappier cousin. A bit smaller and faster, it was the little brother with something to prove. Imagine them as a prehistoric sibling rivalry. Tarbosaurus was the heavyweight champ, and Alioramus was the fast and furious underdog with razor-sharp teeth and a knack for hunting on the go. Tarbosaurus might have been the brawler, but Alioramus was the speedy trickster, likely chasing down prey, while Tarbosaurus claimed the role of ambush king. In modern terms, it's like a heavyweight boxer squaring off with a featherweight MMA fighter. They both had power, but each fought with a very different style. Asia, with its endless deserts, forests, and plains, was the perfect playground for these two apex predators. Imagine how they shaped the ancient food chain, with Tarbosaurus taking down the big targets and Alioramus snatching up anything that dared to run. But unlike a modern-day lion pack, these two weren't on the same team. They were more like rivals competing for the best hunting grounds. And in a landscape where food didn't come easy, it was all about who could out-hunt or out-muscle the competition. These predators weren't just big, they were evolution's experiments in survival, tailor-made to thrive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. This wasn't the land of giant, clumsy lizards. These were agile, well-adapted monsters that ruled Asia's lands, each equipped with weapons and strategies to keep their spot at the top of the food chain. Step aside, dinosaurs. The real nightmares of prehistoric Asia were lurking in the shadows and trees. First up, let's meet Gigantopithecus, a colossal ape that stood around 10 feet tall. Now that's not your average monkey swinging from the trees. This was a giant who made even the biggest gorilla look like a cute house cat. It's easy to see how stories of creatures like Bigfoot or the Yeti could have originated from sightings of this towering beast. Picture a creature so large that if it ordered a pizza, it would probably have to call 2 delivery guys just to handle the size of the pie. The Gigantopithecus was herbivorous, munching on bamboo and leaves, but it had a reputation that made it sound like a true king of the jungle. With a body like that, it didn't need to worry about much except maybe tripping over its own feet. Just imagine if this enormous ape had a bad day. Would it go on a rampage or just sulk in a corner with a tub of ice cream? Now, onto the bizarre and slightly terrifying Andrewsarchus, which looked like someone decided to play Godzilla with a pig and a wolf. This unique creature had the body of a hoofed mammal, but sported a skull that would give you chills. With jaws strong enough to crush bones like candy, Andrewsarchus was the ultimate predator of its time. It was as if nature said, let's take a cute farm animal and make it capable of ripping apart its dinner. This prehistoric junkyard dog roamed the plains looking for anything that moved, and its looks were enough to send even the bravest of herbivores running for cover. If you thought your dog was scary when it growled, just wait until you met Andrewsarchus. The kind of animal that, if it had a bark, would probably sound like a truck backing up. It was not the pet you'd want cuddling next to you on a chilly night. And let's not forget how these creatures played their parts in Asia's vast ecosystem. Gigantopithecus and Andrewsarchus were like the cast of a horror movie, one that was sure to keep any unsuspecting herbivore on its toes. From giant apes to wolf-like nightmares, Asia had its fair share of weird and wonderful creatures, each designed for survival in a land that was as perilous as it was extraordinary. These animals weren't just surviving, they were thriving in an environment where the competition was fierce and the stakes were high. If they didn't adapt quickly, it could mean curtains. Prehistoric Asia was an epic stage for the wildest evolutionary experiments, proving that when it comes to nature, the weirder, the better. And trust me, with creatures like these around, no one was getting a good night's sleep. When you think of terrifying prehistoric creatures, the land-dwelling monsters often steal the spotlight. But lurking beneath the waves of ancient Asia were some true giants that could make even the toughest T-Rex reconsider its life choices. Welcome to the watery world of the megalodon, the ultimate ruler of the seas, a shark that measured up to 60 feet long. That's longer than a school bus. If you were swimming in those waters, it wouldn't be a relaxing day at the beach. It would be more like an episode of a horror film where you desperately wish you'd stayed on dry land. Megalodon had teeth as big as a human hand, sharp enough to slice through the thickest blubber and bone. Fun fact, it could crush bone just as easily as modern sharks break fish bones. So, if you thought getting bitten by a regular shark was bad, imagine facing a megalodon. You'd be less likely to scream and more likely to just float there, pondering life choices. Next, we have the even more bizarre Leviathan melville. This ancient whale wasn't just any whale, it was a massive predator with teeth the size of bowling pins, designed for a menu that included other whales. It made the modern sperm whale look like a cuddly teddy bear. While sperm whales are known for diving deep to catch squid, Leviathan was up for a bigger challenge, hunting fellow marine giants. If you can picture it, this colossal creature swam the seas, boasting a mouthful of teeth that could probably double as a set of garden tools. If you thought having a whale-sized friend would be fun, think again. Hey, let's go swimming would take on a whole new meaning when your buddy has a mouth big enough to swallow a car. These aquatic horrors highlight a chilling reality. Asia's prehistoric waters were anything but safe. While today we worry about jellyfish stings or shark attacks, back then, the real concern was being a potential snack for a megalodon or leviathan. Nature was in full swing, turning the ocean into a buffet of fearsome creatures that defined an era of oceanic dominance. From the giant teeth of the leviathan to the colossal jaws of the megalodon, the seas were packed with marine giants that could send shivers down anyone's spine. And while we marvel at these prehistoric behemoths, one can't help but feel relieved that we now have calmer waters. Unless you're diving into a pool full of 12-foot sharks, of course. As if prehistoric Asia didn't have enough terrifying creatures on land and sea, the skies were also filled with predators that could give you a serious case of vertigo. Enter Quetzalcoatlus, a pterosaur that could boast a wingspan of 40 feet, nearly the size of a small airplane. If you thought modern-day birds were intimidating, just imagine one of these gliding overhead. Bird watching would become a whole different sport when your feathered friend could swoop down and snatch a smaller animal for lunch. Better pack a lunch that's larger than your average sandwich. These massive pterosaurs weren't just flying around looking pretty. With their sharp beaks and keen eyesight, they were expert hunters, swooping down from their lofty heights to snag fish or small land animals. One fun fact, they were so big that if you found yourself underneath one, you might just need a bigger umbrella. And while the skies had their share of massive reptiles, the buzzing, flapping, and darting of giant insects also ruled the air. During the Carboniferous period, Asia was home to enormous dragonfly-like bugs with wingspans that could stretch over 2 feet. That's right, 2 feet. Can you imagine trying to enjoy a peaceful picnic while being dive-bombed by a prehistoric bug that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi movie? You'd want to invent a bug spray strong enough to handle these prehistoric pests. Forget citronella, you'd need industrial-strength repellents and perhaps a personal air defense system. These gargantuan insects weren't just terrifying, they were an essential part of the ecosystem. Their sheer size and number played a significant role in pollination, which allowed many plants to flourish. Still, it's hard to appreciate nature when you're dodging a creature that's likely to make you feel like a lunchable snack. Life in prehistoric Asia was no walk in the park. Whether you were dodging predators on land, swimming with the giants of the sea, or avoiding massive bugs buzzing in the air, the odds were stacked against you. In this wild world, you had to stay on your toes, or if you were really lucky, fly under the radar like those little critters trying to escape the jaws of Quetzalcoatlus. Just remember, even in the sky, danger was never far away. In the prehistoric jungles and plains of Asia, being slow was a one-way ticket to becoming someone else's lunch. Among the swiftest of predators was the infamous velociraptor. Despite being only about the size of a turkey, these small dinosaurs were pack hunters, which means they teamed up to take down prey much larger than themselves. Think of them as the original prehistory's fastest runners, with a teamwork ethic that would put some sports teams to shame. If you thought your morning jog was tough, try outrunning a gang of these prehistoric roadrunners with claws that could give you a bad day. Here's a fun tidbit. Velociraptors were likely more coordinated than many realize. Recent studies suggest they use strategic hunting methods that would put your average nature documentary to shame. If they had a motto, it would be, "Why run alone when you can bring friends?" Even today's fastest humans would have a hard time outpacing a well-organized group of these cunning hunters. Switching gears, let's meet some other speedy predators, the prehistoric Asian cheetah. These big cats were built for speed, with lean bodies that could reach astonishing speeds rivaling the cheetahs we know today. Imagine a cat that could run as fast as a car in the city. When these cats sprinted after prey, it was like watching a high-speed chase unfold on the savannah. Meanwhile, lurking in the shadows were early hyenas that were no less fearsome. These bone-crushing creatures had jaws strong enough to snap bones like they were nothing more than twigs. Talk about an appetite for destruction. If there was a prehistoric food network, these hyenas would definitely be the top chefs, serving up a bone buffet. It's important to remember that even the plant eaters in this land of speed had to be fit and nimble. The herbivores needed to maintain their athleticism just to survive the relentless chase of these speedy predators. Think of it like an ancient fitness regime. Stay in shape or become dinner. It was a true survival of the fittest scenario, where everyone had to keep moving just to stay alive. In this fierce landscape, even the most unsuspecting prey had to run for their lives. With the fast and ferocious hunters on the prowl, no one was safe, and every day was a race against time. The thrill of the chase was not just a pastime, it was a matter of life and death in this ancient world. It's amazing to think about how these predators shaped the ecosystems of prehistoric Asia, setting the stage for the next chapter in our evolutionary story. And what came next was nothing short of apocalyptic. When it comes to catastrophes, prehistoric Asia knew how to throw a party, just not the fun kind. The Great Permian Extinction, often referred to as the Great Dying, was like a cosmic disaster movie where nearly 90% of Earth's species were wiped out. It wasn't just a bad day, it was a million-year-long catastrophe. The extinction was so severe that Earth nearly lost its chance to recover. Imagine going to a potluck and having 90% of the food disappear before anyone gets a bite. It's hard to picture a world where life had to struggle just to come back from the brink. The causes were a mix of volcanic eruptions, climate changes, and possibly even asteroid impacts. Life was about as tough as it gets, like trying to survive a game of dodgeball where the balls are made of meteors. Scientists estimate that this event was such a game changer that it took millions of years for biodiversity to bounce back. For a while, the planet was like an empty theater after the blockbuster ends, leaving only a few survivors to tell the tale. Fast forward a bit, and Asia had its fair share of meteors and tsunamis, each making a dramatic entrance like an overzealous performer on stage. Picture this: a gigantic meteor slams into the Earth, causing massive tsunamis that would make even the bravest marine life rethink their vacation plans. Some impacts were so powerful they led to climate changes that turned lush landscapes into barren wastelands. It's like if someone accidentally hit the destruction button on nature's remote control. One particularly notable event happened around 66 million years ago when a meteor struck the Yucatan Peninsula. This wasn't just a localized disaster, it sent shockwaves throughout the planet, affecting Asia too. Prehistoric Asia had more ups and downs than a roller coaster, with life constantly adapting to the chaos around it. You could say Mother Nature had a real flair for the dramatic. No natural disaster insurance needed because, well, that would have been a waste of money. In the end, these catastrophic events shaped the world, paving the way for new life forms to emerge and adapt. The resilience of life can be pretty inspiring, even if the road to recovery looked like a long and treacherous journey. But with every apocalypse comes a new beginning, and soon, some rather peculiar creatures were ready to take their place in history, each stranger than the last. Among the oddballs of prehistoric Asia, the Baiji stands out like the class clown who somehow survives all the chaos around them. This unique freshwater dolphin, known as the Yangtze River dolphin, managed to float through millions of years of evolution before its unfortunate recent extinction. It's hard to believe this gentle swimmer was navigating rivers while giants like T-Rex were still dominating the land. Surviving countless prehistoric trials is no small feat. Imagine being the last one standing in a game of musical chairs where the music never stops. The Baiji didn't just dodge dinosaurs. It had to navigate through floods, ice ages, and who knows what else. Think of it as the ultimate survivor, like that one contestant on a reality show who keeps coming back, no matter how many obstacles are thrown their way. Some might even say that this dolphin saw it all, from massive tsunamis to the rise of new predators. It was truly a freshwater adventurer, navigating the turbulent waters of ancient Asia. Then there's the helicoprion, a shark that would send shivers down any diver's spine. With its jaw shaped like a circular saw packed with spiraling teeth, it looked like a creature straight out of a horror film. These teeth grew inward, forming a permanent buzzsaw in its mouth. Definitely not something you'd want to run into while swimming. Fun fact, helicoprion lived during the early Triassic period, well before dinosaurs took over the land. So while T-Rex was perfecting its roar, helicoprion was busy mastering the art of dental destruction. Just imagine if this shark visited a dentist. "Hi, I'm here for a cleaning, but I think you'll need a chainsaw instead of a toothbrush." With a jaw like that, it's no wonder helicoprion would be a dentist's worst nightmare. Its evolutionary quirks show just how bizarre life can get when you let nature play around with designs. These two creatures represent the extreme ends of survival and adaptation in prehistoric Asia. While the Baiji swam gracefully through the rivers, helicoprion was tearing through the waters like a swimming blender. They remind us that evolution doesn't just make creatures more efficient, it can also lead to some truly strange forms and adaptations. The echoes of Asia's prehistoric past still resonate in today's ecosystems, reminding us that extinction is often just another chapter in the story of life. When some colossal creatures vanished, they inadvertently made way for others to thrive. It's like clearing out a crowded theater. When the dinosaurs and their monstrous pals left, new species stepped into the spotlight, eager to claim their stage. Today's tigers and leopards, for example, have deep-rooted connections to the giants that roamed their ancestors' domains. A staggering 90% of Earth's species vanished during the Great Permian extinction, which paved the way for new life forms to emerge. It's mind-boggling to think that what was once a land of terrifying predators and bizarre creatures transformed into vibrant jungles and sweeping grasslands, teeming with life. Every modern creature is a living testament to survival, adaptation, and the relentless march of evolution. Dig a little deeper, and you'll discover that many myths and legends have roots in these prehistoric horrors. Asian folklore is filled with tales of dragons, sea monsters, and other mythical beasts. These stories often arose from the remnants of the past, shaped by the memories of the terrifying creatures that once roamed the land. Just imagine a wise old storyteller around a campfire, recounting tales of massive lizards and giant birds that inspired fears and fantasies. For instance, the dragon, a staple in Asian mythology, could be traced back to the fossils of dinosaurs. When ancient people stumbled upon giant bones, it's easy to see how they might think they were the remains of legendary beasts. Even today, you can almost hear the chuckle of a dragon, wondering why it got stuck in those old stories, when it was just minding its own business. The legacy of these ancient animals is not just in the tales we tell, it's also woven into the fabric of our environment. The extinction of the massive creatures allowed mammals to flourish, eventually leading to the biodiversity we see today. Ecosystems evolved, with new niches filling the void left by their giant predecessors. It's as if nature played a cosmic game of musical chairs, where the biggest players left the stage and the smaller ones happily claimed their spots. From a land teeming with colossal predators and strange beasts to the vibrant ecosystems we know today, Asia's journey through time is nothing short of remarkable. Those prehistoric horrors shaped the world, paving the way for a rich tapestry of life. From the mighty tiger stalking the jungles to the graceful leopards weaving through the underbrush. Interestingly, some of our most beloved myths, like dragons and sea monsters, have roots in the colossal creatures of Asia's past. It's almost poetic how the shadows of these giants linger in our stories, transforming terrifying memories into cultural treasures. Ultimately, the transformation of Asia from a continent of nightmares into a land of extraordinary beauty and biodiversity teaches us a valuable lesson. Even the most fearsome histories can contribute to a flourishing present. Just as life continues to adapt and evolve, so does our understanding of the world around us, reminding us that nature always finds a way to thrive.